All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Enlightened Neanderthals podcast, brought to you by Training Northwest. I am the owner of Training Northwest. We're a Pacific Northwest, training company, or just like the name says. We teach firearms, and we also are going to have first aid and land navigation coming up, as well as some other things that I don't want to announce yet because we haven't finalized anything. So, episode 2, we were joined by our friend Jake. How do you say his name? Cecchini. And we're talking hunting backpack loadout. This one was a really fun episode to do.
Yeah, when we got into it, this is kind of why we started the podcast in the first place. We got the first episode out of the way and kind of told you why we were doing stuff we were doing, and then we were kind of going towards interviewing different people, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other things that we end up doing. But in this episode, we had Jake on, and he talked hunting. He talked growing up in Colorado and how he likes to hunt. So he's here in the Northwest now, and yeah, we just had a good time with it.
Yeah.
So
all right. So please enjoy. And again, if you like this, share with your friends and subscribe because it helps us out. All right.
So I'm like, I'm a dummy. He's a dummy. He's my friend, you know? Yeah.
Is that why we all get along?
Yeah. You can't think anything highly of him. He's just, you're like, you're one of us, my friend.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it good is,
So here we go. Endless Endeavor with Jordan, Mike, and Toby. All right. So we fucked up last time. And hang on. We fucked up twice now. All right. So our first screw up was that we called it Around the Fire podcast on our episode 1 introductory episode, and after we recorded, we looked it up and found out that there were six Around the Fire podcasts.
It's a great fucking name, though.
The best name.
Good on them.
We don't want to be Around the Fire number 7, so we have settled on Enlightened Neanderthals, which actually fits this group because we just fucked up the second time. We were a solid 20 minutes into this podcast and realized that the SD card... Well, hang on.
Yeah, real fucking enlightened.
Yeah. Well, hang on. The Neanderthal. All right. We could... I still say 3 monkeys and a football might actually be the...
We're figuring it out.
We'll figure it out.
We're figuring it out.
For now, it's Enlightened Neanderthals. So we got about 20 minutes into this episode and realized that the SD card was not formatting and was not recording. So we're starting all over again, take 2, and we've got, I'll say that the idea for this episode is we wanted to do, in fact, the way this whole podcast was conceived is we wanted to do a backcountry hunting loadout, a little bit of content, originally for Training Northwest, my training company, but we quickly realized when we were talking about it that we should just start doing a podcast with the 3 of us, and I think we already covered that in the introductory episode. But anyway, here we are. We're going to do our backcountry loadout episode, and we've got a friend here from our jiu-jitsu circle. Jake, how do you pronounce your last name?
Cecchini.
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 Jake,
Yeah,
Cecchini.
like a noodle.
You got to make the onion with your fingers when you do it.
Cecchini.
Yeah, you like the penne. So, Jake, go ahead, introduce yourself again, and we'll take it from there.
Hello, I'm Jake Cecchini, and I am a dude who's done a lot of hunting in his day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
I grew up hunting. Somewhere out there's a photo of me floating around when I was like 2 years old in a diaper, carrying around like a .22 rifle, shooting rattlesnakes and stuff like that. So I've just been hunting my entire life.
Wild.
Yeah. Did you eat them?
I don't know if we ever ate them.
You
I
know,
got
it's
a couple
crazy.
rattles.
I grew up in Omak. We did the same shit.
Ugh.
I would eat one now, absolutely. Like, I'll eat anything.
I hate snakes.
Yeah.
I absolutely...
At Watershed
Dude,
1 year.
I could have a
camp.
spider live in my ear. I would never touch a snake.
I can't do spiders. No, I'd eat a snake. I'm sure we didn't eat them back then.
No, we didn't eat them, but because there's rattlesnakes all over eastern Washington, so when we saw them, we just shoot them with a .22.
Yeah, yeah.
But Jake's 2 years old doing this.
Yeah. All right, fair.
He's literally going to use that rattle for a toy.
For a rattle.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, man.
Picture me like in the crib with like a with the orange cap on the barrel, little lever gun. Like it's been my whole life forever.
Awesome.
He's
And this is in
rattling
Colorado,
antlers.
yeah?
This is in Colorado where I'm from. My whole big extended family, we're all elk hunters is kind of our shtick. Though, we've done everything. From antelope, deer, elk, bears, moose, every kind of small game. I don't know if I'm leaving stuff out. Just kind of everything. Though I'm a pretty piss poor fisherman.
Yeah.
That's why you moved to Washington.
Yeah, right.
Where
Right
from
on.
Colorado are you from?
Like Denver, kind of the Denver area, and then where we go hunting is usually out towards like Gunnison, which is kind of central east-ish Colorado.
Oh, Mike.
Somebody's
is that your
phone
phone
going off? Oh, my God.
All the shit he
God
talks.
dang it. Man. My alarm. You get away with it because you saved us with the SD card,
We'll find out.
right? All right, so Jake, before we realized we screwed up the recording, you were saying that you didn't necessarily set out to go backcountry hunting, but sometimes you guys. So if you guys set out on let's say you're headed out on a Saturday morning, would you guys always have packs loaded just in case you needed to leave the truck? Or were there weekends where you're like, you know what, no matter what, we're sticking close to the roads and hunting from the car? Or how would you guys go about it?
That was a lot of it, just kind of like being in the truck and tooling around. Though we didn't really have like bags packed ready for multi-day things, but we had like a box of stuff that we could then throw into the backpacks if we needed it to become that.
Got it.
And we'd kind of venture off that way. I don't know when we really started backcountry hunting. We always just went hunting. Like any kind of hunting was hunting. I didn't realize I was backcountry hunting until it kind of got popular recently, and that's what people were calling it. I was like, oh, I do that. you know?
We call it hunting.
Yeah, so whether it's just driving up a dirt road until you get to your stand and then you walk 30 yards off the road and you're watching over a gully, or maybe it's a really, really rutted out 20-mile long dirt road that, that's pretty backcountry. You're not getting just a regular pickup truck up there.
Yeah.
You drive all the way out there to hunt elk, and then eventually they're, even further, a couple of gulches away, and then you get the grand plan of, well, we got to get there, so we're going to drive the Jeep all the way to the end of this dirt road, and then we're going to park it, and then we're going to walk 5 miles from the end of that up a creek drainage and set up tents and stay for 3 days and hunt elk, because we're just hunting elk. We didn't really think about, we're backcountry hunters.
Yeah. All
Just
right.
elk hunters.
Just going where the elk are, because that's how you hunt.
Yep.
All right. Makes sense. And how do we get taught? Again, the first attempt, we got to talking about the Roosevelts out on the peninsula. I don't remember what this.
You were asking
Jordan screwing up.
Yeah, and that's
Hey, you know what? I like that story so much.
Tell it again.
well. We were talking about the difference between the Rocky Mountain
the body
elk
size.
and the body size,
Okay.
and how much you're getting when you're packing these elk back out, and that you bone them out and everything, because it only makes sense to do that when you're.
Yeah. So I don't remember which state is the one that has the law about it, but you cannot bring bones over state lines because of chronic wasting disease.
Got it.
And they're trying to keep it localized where the disease is at now. And so in theory, if you take bones from somewhere else, bring them here, then that can get out into the population here, and then that's a real big issue.
Yeah, I think chronic wasting disease started in Wyoming in like the 60s.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it that was the first case, I believe. Was
Okay.
In the mid 60s, I think, and they found chronic wasting disease, and it slowly spread everywhere.
Now it's a real issue in like the Midwest, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Do they think it's
Really
like a
bad.
tick thing? Like Lyme disease? Is that gives it to them?
From what I understand, it's like mad cow,
Okay.
like a prion disease, a brain disease, and their brain rots and they just waste away.
How do they get it? Because, like, isn't mad
can get
cow,
it
like,
from,
when you
like-
eat brains as a person, that's how you get that prion in your body and stuff? Like, cannibals get it and
I
stuff
think
like
they
that.
can get it from like like
they can
Eating
get it
off
from
the
urine
ground?
and all kinds of different things that they're sniffing around in. I think I could be completely wrong. Don't take this for
Yeah.
you know, but
This is a science podcast.
yeah. All feelings, no facts here. But yeah, I think they can get it from any number of ways through like the same way you can get COVID. You know,
I thought you only got COVID from gay sex.
yeah, that's what it
I've
is.
had it 3 times.
That's monkeypox.
Oh,
yeah.
I know they can get it from like rubbing noses and stuff. I think
Yeah.
it's a population density issue.
Yeah.
There's too damn many white-tailed deer kind of thing in too small of areas, and then this disease gets to be prevalent, and then it just blows through the whole population. It's a real problem. And I think
I'd love to experience
pretty
that
sure I
population
heard-
density though.
it's 100% fatal is what I'm pretty sure I've heard.
Well, do you follow buffalo at all? Like buffalo, when American settlers really came here, they're like, oh man, the populations are out of control. They're like 30 million to 50 million. But if you look at how it happened, like the Spanish and all the conquistadors came to the Americas, right? And they brought all this disease. And they say that that disease that they brought killed about, I don't know, was 70, 80% of the indigenous population. Well, the buffalo's main predator was people. So then you have all these Spanish that come and they all get wiped out, or they wipe out the indigenous people. No one's hunting the buffalo. Then you get buffalo herds that are out of control. And then, oh man, what's that buffalo disease? Brucellosis? Brucellosis, right?
No,
brucellosis. Yeah. And that's the same thing that happens in cattle, right? And they said, oh, it could have been from buffalo getting close to cattle farmers and stuff like that. But it's something you see. I mean, disease.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't most of our sicknesses come from mass commercial farming and stuff like that? Avian flu, all these, swine flu.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I
from
see where
those
you're
type
going.
of things. So, yeah, it's interesting thinking about how chronic wasting disease and having huge populations that don't get checked, it transfers really quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it just blows through the ungulate population. Yeah.
But chronic wasting disease seems to be more and more of a problem. Yeah, I mean,
it's a real concern.
yeah.
It's a real issue.
How do you know? If you put an animal down, is it obvious that it has it, or do you have to like...
Usually hair, like they're patchy in hair.
look
They
on-
don't look
Like
good.
Mike's beard.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about stuff that's pretty outside my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah,
I'm
but
pretty
as
sure
a
if it's
hunter-
really advanced, yeah, I've seen pictures where they're really matty and mangy kind of
Yeah.
looking.
Doing circles. Looking just
I don't know if you can just
Kind of
tell if one
acting
has it.
deranged?
Yeah.
I know in like Wisconsin they have testing stations and stuff where you shoot a deer, you bring it over there, you have it tested, because you may or may not know.
Okay.
You can do the same thing here with anything. And then at that point, there's the waste not, want not kind of laws aren't in play. Same with like bear. I think you can get bear tested. And then if it has trichinosis, you don't have to.
Yeah, don't
Eat
you
it,
send
right?
Yeah, but you should.
No, you
If
should.
your bear has trichinosis, eat the damn bear.
Yeah, heat it up.
just cook it?
Right.
Yeah, you got to get it to what?
165.
Is it 165? Okay. I thought it was 145.
Same as
Don't eat
pork.
my bear sausage.
145.
But I've heard that you can freeze it. If you freeze it for a month, it kills the trig.
I think you got to deep
Really?
freeze it.
I
Not
heard
just
if you
like
spin it really fast
freeze
in a
it.
bag, it's fucking good to go. Let it ride, boys.
I prayed towards Mecca next to my bear meat, and it was good to go.
Oh god. All right. So the theme of this episode is going to be kind of like what we would put in our packs for a backcountry loadout, and then the packs themselves. So kind of my thought was to go with like the big 3: food, water, shelter. But then we should probably start with the actual, the pack itself that all that stuff is going to go into. So of course I said, all right, everybody bring their packs, and then I had an insanely busy week, and I'm the one of the 4 who didn't actually show up with a backpack. But if you guys want to go, let's start with Jordan, because the last time when we started talking about this at the kitchen table, Jordan just started dropping knowledge on us, and that literally is how we got to, we needed to start a podcast. So I see at least 2 Kifaru packs over there. And Mike, which pack is yours?
I have the one on the left. I have a full curl horn system with a main bag, a game bag, and then an add-on light bag.
Okay, and does yours have a beer shelf? Do we all have beer shelves?
I have a meat shelf. Every one of them has a beer shelf.
God damn it. That thing is tailor-made for carrying a half rack of beer into the mountains. And actually, before we go too far on that, the one reason these hunting packs really caught my attention is the last time, or when Jordan and I went last year, and we didn't really go backcountry. We were within a mile of the car. But it dawned on me that meat shelf has like some significant tactical value for an army style back or a military style backpack, just because normally, you have all your sort of equipment to sustain yourself, your sleeping bag, your water, your MREs, but everybody's also carrying extra batteries for the radio or belts of rounds for the machine guns or mortar rounds or, you know what I mean, team equipment. And the ability to separate that bag from the frame and have that space in there, like think even like a javelin missile or AT-4 rockets. What else? Rounds for the Carl Gustav 83 millimeter recoilless rifle. Having that meat shelf, beer shelf, whatever you want to call it, that's a great space to put, team equipment that you want kept separate from your personal sort of sustainment gear, where it's quick and easy to get to. And anybody and you can drop your ruck during an engagement and anybody on the team can run up to it knowing that you have an AT-4 in there or a belt of machine gun rounds, and it's quick and accessible. But anyway, all right. So that's why these backpacks really caught my attention, because I was like, that is a goddamn genius idea. And I don't know why the military has not caught on to that.
No, I mean, we're all kind of gear guys. Yeah. I mean, you like to look and see what's out there.
It's fun, yeah.
But what you're seeing is a little bit of a transition from, what do they call it? An external frame pack to an internal frame pack is what I feel all these, like the meat shelf and stuff like that is. You used to have a bag that was metal piping, aluminum piping.
The Army rucksack.
Yeah. And now you have a lot of things that are like Kuiu has all carbon fiber. And they have these little internal frames that then can hold a tremendous amount of weight.
So I think mine is technically an external frame. So I bought a Mystery Ranch Beartooth 80. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a hybrid, like internal frame, external frame. Because, again, that meat shelf, you're separating the bag from the frame by a couple of nylon straps. So to me, that's an external frame.
Earlier today on the range, me and Jake were talking about the meat shelf, mm-hmm. and he's not a proponent for the meat shelf in the situation that we have it.
Yeah. I wanted it to work real bad.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly not a giant fan. I've got kind of a new system that I use, because at least I don't know how your guys' bags are, but on my bag, the meat shelf is
what kind of bag do you have, and what's your gear there?
I have a Kifaru Woodsman that I've got kind of Legoed out pretty good. It's got medium and large pouches on one side, a scope pouch on the other, then their guide lid on top, and then a Sherman pocket on the back. So I've got it set up to where I can really dress it down small for like a day pack if I want, or I can really blow it up for like a 7 to 10 day type of bag, or anything in between. Because when I bought it, I could only afford one bag. I wanted one bag to do everything with. So I wanted the meat shelf to work real bad, but I find with my bag, it requires so much just dicking around. I can swear on your guys' podcast, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Nope.
Fuck no, you can't.
And also 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
You do so much dicking around with straps and buckles and expanding things and opening stuff up to free the meat shelf, and then you load it, and then you're trying to cinch stuff back together, and meat is kind of falling out the sides of it, and then all of your gear that was in your main bag is now further back, so your center of gravity's kind of pulling you backwards, and then you walk one load out to the truck, and then you got to suck the whole thing back closed again, walk back in, open it all back up, put more meat on. It's just a nightmare. So what I have started doing is I just carry a contractor bag with me, and after I kill something, I go dress it out. I go hike all my gear out to the truck. I come back in with my empty backpack, and I put the contractor bag inside the main bag, fill it with meat, and start walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and that keeps the blood out of it. And
Just simple.
Yeah, I've done that, I don't know, 3-4 times now.
Yeah.
It's the move. It works really, really well. I put a whole antelope in that backpack once.
Did you?
Yeah, the whole thing.
All right.
So that's kind of my system now.
All right. I like it.
And that's more or less what I've done with this because of that same thing. I have the Reckoning, the Kafara Reckoning, and that's the same system as far as the meat shelf goes. And I got it thinking that would be a great move. But because of all the fuckery that you got to deal with, it does kind of make it a pain in the ass. So same thing, fucking big black contractor bag and fill it up, and there we go. But my dream setup is that because I do think there's utility in having the meat shelf or the beer shelf, as Toby calls it, because the utility is just, it's there, you know. So like they have the Stalker, or no, the Striker. So the Striker, they had the Striker and the Striker XL, and all right, maybe they got rid of those now. But the newest iteration of it for Kafaru anyway, because I'm a big Kafaru guy, is the Hellbender, and that the meat shelf is a lot more straightforward. It's just clips, whatever those clips are, that just buckle right together, and that's how you can run it.
I had my pack here, because that Mystery Ranch pack, it's like 4 buckles and the meat shelf is open.
Yeah, and they have like the Metcalf does that. I think the Mystery Ranch Metcalf has the same setup, and both these companies also have like military style packs, like where they're based on.
They do, and so I looked at the military style ones, and it's basically a backpacking backpack plus molly straps.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, why not put the in this case it would be a Javelin missile shelf. Go ahead and put that Carl Gustav shelf on there. Because even if they don't use it, at least you have that option. And I can remember, 20-mile overland movements where guys would take their ruck frame and just take the bag off completely. So it's a naked frame, and then they would bungee cord. In fact, the AGs for the recoilless rifle, the assistant gunners for the Carl Gustav system, that is how they carried rounds onto an objective. We had these big molded plastic holders that could hold, one person could only hold 2 rounds on their back. So they'd have a naked rucksack frame with a molded plastic holder for 2 Carl Gustav rounds sort of paracorded to that naked frame. And that's how the assistant gunners would carry the rounds onto target. And again, I can remember long overland movements where guys would just strip the bag of their ruck off, naked frame, and then bungee cord like an AT-4 and some extra machine gun rounds to that naked frame, because it was the best way to transport it.
That's kind of the main way me and my dad will do it. He's my main hunting partner. He's kind of my guy. We've just been hunting together forever.
Yeah.
Just get along. Anyway, so one of our main kind of systems, I guess, is we've both got our day bags that are set up for whatever it is we're doing, whether it's the afternoon or 2 days, whatever. But then in the truck, we just keep 2 bare frames with nothing but an aluminum frame with a shelf.
Yep.
And then after you go get something down, instead of farting with dealing with your meat shelf or putting a bag inside your backpack and emptying all your gear
Unloading
out.
your pack.
Yeah, you just walk back to the truck, throw the bags in the truck, grab bare frames, go up, and start strapping stuff to those bare frames.
Yep. I can't think of the brand. It's the Sportsman's Guide, like house brand, but you can get a bare frame pack, like not bare, B-E-A-R, but like bare, B-A-R-E, bare just frame with shoulder straps for like $100.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking of getting one for our river property out where we run the shooting classes, just because when you hike up and down that bluff to the river carrying coolers, or fucking Greg's hiked up and down it carrying a barbecue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be nice to have that just naked frame to strap stuff to.
Well, I know guys that'll do the same thing with those like you said, naked frame, and then they'll just mount their backpack to that, right? And then so if they get something,
like a day pack type.
Yeah, you just strap your backpack to that aluminum frame. Then if you get something, you remove your backpack, set on your GPS or it's at your camp, and then you just haul everything down. I have a full curl, and what I kind of like about that pack, I mean, it's not the best, not the worst. What I found interesting in that pack is that mainly it's the frame, and then everything else buckles in or out as the bag. So how it's loaded up now, it's got my backpacking bag in there, and I've got tent, stove, all my gear. But then I also have, it weighs 1.5 pounds, and it's just a canvas meat hauling bag. So you unclip the actual bag with your gear, put the meat hauling bag in, and you're good to go.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about having setups like that, and I think like doing what you're saying and having a dedicated pack bag or pack frame is kind of the way to go in some regard. I know, like, because I'm the same way with you. I had enough money to buy one Gafaru setup, right? And it was like, come on, baby, it's gonna work for everything. So I thought, go big, and I got the 26-inch frame. And I know that when I go, like, where I hunt, I'm on the the coast, and I'm hunting up and down crazy rough terrain that's
Thick rainforest.
Yeah, I hunt in Western Washington.
For those of you guys listening to this, he's talking about the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, and it's a legitimate rainforest, and the underbrush is thick with a capital THICC.
Yeah. There's some spots you can get to, and it kind of opens up and stuff when you're kind of busting through stuff. But even just up here in the Cascades, it's pretty thick.
Oh yeah, just out where we were at our place today.
Yeah, so I noticed that with the 26-inch frame coming up over my shoulders, I get caught up on brush constantly. So trying to duck through this and it's just an extra bit of bullshit that you don't want to be dealing with. And that's why, I'd like to get a smaller frame and ideally end up going with that striker. So it's a frame that's there. It's my backpack is connected. And then if I do get something down, I don't have to hike back. I got the frame on my pack or on my back already, so I can just load it up with the meat shelf, utilizing that in a lot easier situation. And then once you're like, if you're hiking into a place and doing backcountry stuff where it's like, oh, I got all this gear that I got to get in, you can just take a big dry bag, stick it in there, take that out to camp, set all your gear for camp, pull that out, set it down, suck everything up, and now you're ready to go. You got a day pack on.
Yeah.
I like the thought of that. I don't have that. That's not what I've been using, but that's where I'd like to go. But I saw a guy. I was out in the woods and ran into this dude, and he was moving through the woods like a fucking ninja, and he was like, probably in his mid-60s. But he had a lumbar pack on, and that's what he said. He said, I run a lumbar pack, because I was like, oh, that's, kind of cool setup. And
You're talking like a large fanny pack.
like a large fanny pack,
Like you see guys turkey hunting with.
Yeah, like duck blind and all that.
Like shoulder straps and.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got one sitting right there. Check that out. He was moving really good in the woods with that, and he had a kill kit and he had it all set up in there. So then, when he did get something down, he was going to go back to the truck and grab his aluminum framed, setup, and the guy had more weight on a pack than I probably ever will get on a pack from the stories he was telling.
Yeah.
But
Mike's running away to pee. Do you guys want to pause it and take a pee break? Because my back teeth are floating.
yeah, that's fine.
All right, we're back. What happened duck hunting?
Oh, I just
We were digging our backpacks out and bringing them over closer to where we're recording so that we had them handy. And one of the bags is still packed up from duck hunting. And you guys had some good duck hunting.
What do you got? Chicharron? No, we didn't
yeah.
have good duck hunting, but we had a good time.
I know we had a great time. It was horrible duck hunting. It was the end of the season. It was a bluebird day.
It was very nice. It was beautiful
out there.
I saw a shooting star in the morning. I made a wish and it didn't come true. Didn't kill one duck.
No, it was but I got beef jerky sticks and Oboyo Berto sticks and chicharrones and beer cans.
Miller Lite.
Enchiladas.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking ammo that hasn't been shot because there was no birds.
All right.
Although I think we shot at one bird like 5 times. Like, there was at least seven.
We had waited there maybe, 2.5 hours? You know, it was getting towards a little later in the morning, and we called, and one duck broke off, and it flew over 5 guys. I must have heard 15, 20 shots, and all I see is this bird flying off into the sunset.
It caught us so far off guard. By the time
right.
I realized what was going on, you know.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to bring us back around. So,
Okay, I've got one last thing to say
Yeah,
on the meat
do
shelf
it.
thing, and then we can move on from there.
yeah.
So the kind of final and main reason I prefer to just kind of put a contractor bag in my main bag compartment and fill that with meat is I like it all to be like fully encapsulated, like not for like air purposes, obviously, but as far as like hiking goes, just for the weight distribution. Because like we were talking about the CWD, you can't bring bones over state lines. So it's just kind of a habit for me and my father, when we get something down, we just bone it all out right there. We just bring a tarp, lay it all out. So we're not carrying out quarters. Like we've all seen that real famous photo of Joe Rogan. He's got the moose quarter on his shoulder and it's still with the bones in it and stuff. Yeah, I don't want to carry all that
80
shit.
pounds extra just of bone.
Right. So we bone it all out, cut all the calves off and rib meat, like everything. But then when you got all these small pieces of meat that are just meat and no structure to them, and you're putting them in cheesecloth game bags, that gets to be kind of a amorphous, unruly blob. And the weight is shifting around on you and
totally.
even really strapped onto
try,
a pack
Try
frame.
picking up an unconscious person. And
Sure.
they have their bones in them still, and it still is like you're trying to pick up a bag of water that weighs 180 pounds or something.
It's like grappling with Tobin.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So even if it's strapped all around, you got 4 straps around the game bag. As you start walking, the meat starts kind of mushing out the sides, and one side always winds up heavier than the other. But if you jam it inside your bag, all that meat stays right there.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah. So that's kind of my final.
All right,
I gave up on the meat shelf.
Yeah, I like that. That thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let's go into food, water, shelter. Mike, what do you bring in for? Do you bring shelter? Do you just roll?
Yeah. So I bring a tent. Everything I try and do is semi-light. I don't like hauling extra weight with me.
You have like a crazy expensive, like hyper light style backpack.
Not even crazy light. If you can find a 2-pound tent, you're good. If you can find a 2-pound sleeping bag, you're good. So just everything that you can do, the better for weight. So shelter, just bring a small 2-person tent, which is technically a 1-person tent.
Yeah.
I've gone up with buddies.
Jordan and I made a 2-person tent work.
Yeah, I've been there too, and it's not a 2-person tent, is it?
I beg to differ.
You guys are spooning every.
warm.
Yeah, you didn't need the sleeping bag.
It was 17 degrees out, and we were warm.
We were warm, yeah.
Yeah, so
One sleeping bag.
yeah. So
And Tobin doesn't wear underwear in the back.
oh yeah, that's what we learned
That's it.
about this, right?
Crotch rot. You guys don't want crotch rot in the backcountry.
I think you guys probably
I don't
got
want
crotch
Crotch rot and
but-
monkey butt.
Yeah, I don't want it at home.
Although to be fair, in November in Eastern Washington, when it's 17 degrees, crotch rot probably isn't a big concern.
No.
That's an old Army habit. Bro, I didn't wear underwear from age 19 to about 34, 35. Like I straight up didn't wear underwear because
From fear of crotch rot.
you don't wear underwear in the Army because you get monkey butt and crotch rot when you're rucking, dozens of miles. all
So
the
I'll
time.
say that. I'll say
the chafing of those jeans.
The only reason I started wearing underwear again is because I started doing construction and I was wearing the heavy Carhartt duck like canvas pants and that shit rubbed on my shit and I was like, I got to start wearing underwear again.
Yeah.
a pair of
the callus.
I felt like you ever put tape on a cat's paws? That's how I felt when I put underwear on again for the first time.
how do I move?
Yeah, exactly. Like kind of frozen in spot. Like, something's weird. Something's off here.
All right, I got a chafy pro tip. that I figured out though, because I am not a no underwear guy at all. But
There's no way in
like
hell.
like right now I'm wearing my Kuyu long underwear just because our pants all got muddy from we were hanging out earlier today, so I took them off. I'm just sitting here in my long underwear. So if you're getting chafing issues, you take your boys and you poke them through the hole of your underwear, let them hang out so they're now separated.
Do you not suffocate them? Like, are you cutting off oxygen when you do that?
I mean, don't strangle them, you know.
You're not putting a fucking.
Is this an Ezekiel?
You poke your boys through your pissing hole.
Yeah.
So they're kind of isolated now, floating between your long underwear and your underwear.
No
And it keeps
way.
everything nice and separate. And you don't get chafing.
I think my kids do that not on purpose.
No way.
I more learned that from being
All right.
a carpenter, you
No
know,
shit.
and you're
Oh,
just
good.
climbing up and down ladders and stuff all day, hanging cabinets and stuff. You start getting chafy, and then eventually you just figure it out.
I'm never going to look at a carpenter on a job site the same way again.
You know he's got his balls out.
Yeah.
Yes, balls.
Son of a bitch.
This is
A
news
zipper
to
away
me.
for.
Somehow we were talking about sleep systems.
Yes.
And we
I'm still just
blown
blown away by his method.
Somehow we
Yeah,
got to
that-
Jake
that-
hanging
yeah,
his
that's-
junk out of his fly.
Hey, you seriously do that?
Swear
And
to
it
God.
works?
Oh, yeah. I do it at work. I'm not doing it right now.
Jordan, try it right now.
Yeah.
Try it right now.
I can't.
Not wearing underwear?
You don't have any junk?
Yeah, well, I got half a pair.
Tune into episode 1 to find out.
It was a zipper incident.
All right. So I was actually stoked because I found on Amazon, I didn't think it was available for commercial sale, but of course it is the Army's sleep system, which came with, it's ridiculously heavy. The entire thing probably weighs 7 pounds.
Out of control.
But it's 3 bags. It's a green lightweight bag, a black heavy. I think the black bag is like a negative. God, it's like a negative 10 degree sleeping bag, and the green bag is a 20 degree bag, and then it has the important part is the Gore-Tex bivy sack in like a camo pattern. And I know from experience that bivy sack works, and I trust it. And I was looking at different bivy bags online because I love that you can just have this little nylon thing you throw. Because where we live, we live in a rainforest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so 7 months out of the year, you can count on being wet here at night. Even if you get lucky and it's not raining, you're gonna have condensation all over you in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So having that Gore-Tex bag to throw over the top of your sleeping bag is sort of like invaluable. And shit, what was I going to say about this bag? So I've used it all over the world in my Army days, and found it on Amazon. I bought the whole sleep. You can buy the bivy bag by itself, or you can buy the whole sleep system. And just out of nostalgia, I paid $250 for the whole sleep system because if you put all 3 bags together, it's rated for like -50, which I don't know when I would ever be in that situation. But again, just because I am sort of like prepper light. You know what I mean? Like having a couple extra sleeping bags around the house for the kids and for the family and whatnot, like it's never a bad thing. But anyway, I like having that bivy sack rolls up about the bivy sack itself probably weighs a pound, and it rolls up about the size of a football, and you just shove that in there. And then I have a nice it's electric blue, Jordan.
Yeah.
It's a nice North Face 20 degree bag, and
Real nice for glassing. He pulls that thing out, and he's got an electric blue fucking bag he's climbing in as for glass, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
well,
He's like, it's cold.
To
I was
this
like,
day, all right, so you guys listening, I am a novice hunter. And so it's early morning, sun's barely up. Jordan and I crawl out of the tent, 17 degrees. We start, we're watching 2 different sides of a ridge line, two different draws. And I was like, fuck this, I'm getting in my sleeping bag. I pulled my sleeping bag out, except deer are colorblind. And to this day, I don't know if you were fucking with me. He goes, they can see blue. I was like, son of a bitch. I got out of my sleeping bag, turned it inside out, so the black side was out, got back in it. He's not going to tell me. In fact, I don't want to know now. I'm going to spend the rest of my life thinking maybe deer can see blue. Maybe they can't. I don't know.
that's the color spectrum they're using.
Just blue.
Yeah,
Just
they
blues.
can see that electric blue sleeping bag up on the
I was
mountain.
like, this fucking guy, he looks like a fucking blueberry out here, sitting in his.
Oh man! So between my 20 degree bag, which I don't know if it's a 2 pounder, it might be a little heavier than that. It's a pretty nice sleeping bag though. And then that Gore-Tex bivy bag around it. There's not too many, because it rarely gets really cold here where we live. We typically hover above 35 degrees. We'll have these cold snaps like we're having now where we get some cold, clear days. But realistically, especially in like hunting season, you're looking at 35, 40 degrees on the west side of the Cascades.
Yeah.
So really it's more about keeping water off of you than anything else. So that's my sleep system. Unless we're together, and then in which case you can, somebody can carry the tent, somebody can carry the poles. Like I said, Jordan and I shared a 2-man tent. It was cozy, but we stayed warm all night. The wind was howling that night, so I'm actually glad that we had it, put up the rain fly, and it kept, we were definitely warm inside there.
Tent's number one. I mean, you want something that'll keep the rain off you, keep the wind off of you, hold a little bit of your heat, and lightweight. Like I said, my tent only weighs maybe 2.1, 2.3 pounds. But, I mean, it's not only a shelter, it's somewhere to keep all your gear a little bit, keep everything out of the elements, and yeah, it's in. Okay, so for my sleep system, I'll do a tent, I'll do my sleeping bag, which is lightweight bag as well. I'll do a lightweight blanket, right? Maybe weighs under a pound. If it's really cold, I'll shove that in my tent. And then the last thing is I just keep a space blanket in my backpack. So if it's really cold, you put either all of that stuff in your little space blanket, or even you can lay your space blanket over, kind of parachute it over your tent. Yeah. And the amount of heat retention it holds is out of control.
So that's another great tip. That's why we're doing this.
That's a really good idea.
It's insane. And then awesome. Last is what you're laying on the ground with. So I used to use just a roll-up foam, ultralight foam topper. I guess
almost like a memory foam pad.
No, not memory foam.
Like
just
the egg crate style.
Yeah.
Just closed cell
foam.
foam.
Yeah, something just to do that. Keep the cold from transferring from the ground through you. But air mattresses are the way to go.
Yeah, I have.
I mean, it's just heavy as all fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, I was gonna say I have a really lightweight one.
You need to be careful with the ultralight stuff.
Yeah.
Like the ultralight air mattresses. Like you can ultralight yourself to death.
Yeah.
Yep. Are you talking about the blow-up mattresses, not enough fucking air mattress?
No. For backpacking,
like a thermarest.
Yes. Yeah. And it weighs 0.6 pounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I have a thermarest that I like because they're made in America, but it's big. Like you can only compress a thermarest so much, and I hate to say it, but my wife is really into like mountaineering, and she bought. I think it's made by Climate, KLYMIT, and it's made in China. But it's inflatable, and that thing packs up like the size of a beer can.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Thermarest makes some that are nice like that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, my Thermarest is 20 years old.
Yeah, get yourself a new Thermarest. And like I have one, and like it's like the R value on it's like fucking 5 or something like that.
Oh shit.
It's a nice, but it sounds like you're laying on tinfoil. Because it's got basically what you're saying, an emergency blanket inside of it. So it reflects the heat really good.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about sound really sleeping. I mean,
no,
other than
it's me being comfortable with it, and I snore so fucking late.
I was just gonna say, Jordan can make fun of my sleeping bag all he wants. I'm pretty sure the reason there was no deer around in the morning is because the way this motherfucker was snoring.
That's why you need that meat shelf is to haul that CPAP machine out there.
I gotta look into that.
So you have some crazy light sleeping bag too, right, Jordan?
Well, okay. So when I first started making money, finally in my apprenticeship, right, I got to the point where I was able to make some and afford some stuff. The first thing I bought was a Kafaru backpack, and then the next thing I bought was a Feathered Friend sleeping bag, and I ended up going with a 0 degree. Again, I was like, if I can only afford one, I'm gonna get the one that I want. But the one that I wanted, or I ended up getting one, but I changed it and sent it back and got another one. So I tested 2 of them, and I'm going to get the one that I sent back because it's badass. I got the what is it? The Feathered Friends Flicker.
What
And
is it, Goose Down or something?
It's goose down. It's like 850 fill or 900 fill. It's a badass. It's really nice. But it was called the Flicker, and it was one that was a lightweight quilt, right?
Okay,
But it had
yeah.
a zipper on both sides, so then you could zip it all the way up like a sleeping bag, and then you'd scrunch up the toe box, and it had a little toe box, and it was rad.
cool.
Yeah, and you can have them custom like fills and stuff. So if you want to, I think it goes to 20 degree, but if you wanted it to go to 10, they can put extra down in it to make it support that, right? And you can get a normal length or a regular or tall, and then you can get a normal or wide, so just a little bit bigger. And I ended up getting a wide one and long just because I was like, I want as big as possible to be able to use. And packing that down, it was probably about half the size of my... It was probably about packed down in the size of a football.
Okay.
I'd say like a normal NFL football. But I know that they do have some that'll pack down even tighter. They're just not going to be as high rated. The one I ended up with is a snow bunting or snow bunting or snow bunny or some shit like that from Feathered Friends, and it's a 0 degree sleeping bag. They're expensive as all fuck though. It's like buying a Kafaro bag. It's like $700.
Oh goddamn.
Yeah, but it's warm as shit. I've never been cold, but oftentimes you end up being too warm. You're opening the thing up, but that's where that snow bunting, or not the snow bunting, but the Flicker would be perfect. There's another company called Enlightened Equipment that make a quilt that is the same thing. It's zippered up, so you can put that around you, zipper it, and it's got, all the baffles in the right spots to keep you nice and warm. And you cinch the end down, or you can use it as a blanket. So, like, if you were to do what we were doing and you wanted to glass, you pull out your sleeping pad or whatever, put that down under your butt, pull that out, and you're going to be pretty warm if you don't have all the other gear that you would want, windbreaker.
I will say the best $35 I spent before we went was that little, it's like orange on one side, real tree on the other side. It's just a sitting pad.
Yeah.
And it has some sort of like weird like it literally starts to feel hot on your butt when you sit on it. I don't understand what's going on there, but it's a little on the heavy side. It probably weighs like 3 pounds or something, but I just clipped it onto the outside of my pack, and everywhere we stopped to glass
we
and
weren't
watch,
far
I
from
just
the car, so
I could sit on that thing, so I'm insulated from the ground. I have a little and fuck, dude, I have no butt cheeks. I have like pelvic bone and skin, and there's no padding back there, so having something to sit on over there on the rocky ground and like keeps you warm and whatnot, like that was
It's a game changer.
yeah, it was amazing.
yeah.
And it makes a great pillow at night.
Yeah.
I end up using my like a puffy or a sweatshirt or whatever, and I just shove it into my sleeping bag stuff sack.
For pillow.
For a pillow.
Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
So I'm not bringing extra weight. I just have what I want to wear, and I'll shove something in the stuff sack and
Right on.
call it good.
Talking about sitting on that, that's the coldest I get hunting.
Yes, when you're sitting- you're sitting on the- and you
sleeping, I'm fine. I've got all my clothes, I've got my bag, I've got my extra quilt, I've got everything I need. But when you leave for the day, maybe you hike out a little bit, so you dress light, and then you put all your layers on to go sit in glass. When you're sitting on that cold rock or that cold ground, it pulls everything out of you. Like, it pulls all your heat, and immediately that's when you want to stop hunting.
Oh, it freezes you right to the bone fast.
And that you give up.
Yeah.
You give up because of being uncomfortable. And to me, what hunting has become is trying to be the most comfortable while trying to be the most lightweight. Yeah. Trying to bring everything that will make me happy without being unhappy from the weight of taking it up.
If you had a house to sit in.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was heated, and you had a fucking oven,
glass
and everything you
vernier out
needed,
your bedroom window.
and you're
Yeah.
just looking out the window. You're
In
gonna
the
see
Army,
something.
we used to say travel light, freeze at night. That was our method for doing dismounted patrols, like in the Hindu Kush, or if it was a training operation, CONUS, we would say, you know what, fuck it, we'll
warm each other up.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll spoon. I have spent as many hours spooning with grown men as I have with my wife. Travel light, freeze at night, baby.
Yeah.
Jake,
There's no freezing at night. Jake's jaw dropped. Jake is not happy.
Did you know
right
that
now.
I have spent as many nights spooning your jujitsu professor as I have my wife, probably?
He's like, I could have
believe it.
figured.
Yeah, you guys seem tight.
Yeah, real tight?
I don't like to be
oftentimes-
uncomfortable.
Have you ever been in a 6-man spoon?
I have not been in a 6-man.
You haven't lived.
Not,
If you've never been in a 6-man spoon in South Korea, you haven't lived.
yeah, not a pair of underwear between all six.
Not
Guys.
not a single pair of underwear.
Yeah, skin to skin, boys.
All right, Jake, what are you carrying for a sleep system?
So like most things, like I was talking about my backpack, I like things to be modular. I don't like to buy a bunch of different sleeping bags and stuff. I want one system to kind of work for everything. So I have a 20-degree Kafaru slick bag. I like the synthetic instead of the down because even if it gets soaking wet, it keeps you warm.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with a 20-degree instead of the 0-degree because I've got one of their double fill whoobies also.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's down below 20 or you want more, I add in like a little fleece liner, which weighs freaking nothing, super thin. Actually, I usually have that in there anyway because I can't stand the feel of the, whatever this is, the ripstop against my skin. It makes me sweat. I don't like the feeling.
So you're saying you're in there naked?
Sometimes.
It keeps you warmer.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Seriously.
I
if,
think
if you're sleeping in a sleeping bag and
Oh,
you're,
no shit?
yeah, you strip
I
down.
was just going to say, because I'm okay with a 20-degree bag because if it gets colder, I'll put on like a mid-weight base layer.
Yeah, I mean you can, but I'm talking like if you put on your just your fucking pants and everything, you crawl in your sleeping bag, you're gonna get.
Oh,
it's not.
yeah, you don't want your like jeans in there.
No,
Yeah.
you get
All right.
down to the skivvies and you're gonna be solid.
He's making eye contact with me when he's saying that.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I don't know
yeah,
how I feel right now.
yeah.
All right, so you've got a
20-degree bag, double fill whoopie
Plus a
that I'll
whoopie.
jam in there, a fleece liner that I'll add in there as well.
do you carry a tent or a bivy bag?
I've never done the bivy thing. I like to be comfy. So I got on board with floorless shelters 5 years ago, teepees.
Talking like a tarp. Oh, okay.
Teepees, tarps.
Do you just use a trekking pole, or does it come with a actual?
So my first one was like a 4-man, and by 4-man they mean it's a 1-man with gear.
yeah,
And that one I would set up with trekking poles.
yeah.
The one I use now, and it takes up a lot of real estate in the bag, but this is where I might be being a little dumb. But even for just me, I like the Kafaru Sawtooth.
Yeah.
It's a 6-man tent, but man, there's nothing like when you're putting your pants on in the morning and you can stand up in your tent and put shit on.
What does that weigh? Is it
Not-
pretty light?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
because there's no floor. It's a tarp.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
so it probably weighs as much as
Okay.
Couple pounds.
yeah, it's a couple
two.
pounds.
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top
That's
of my
more or
head.
less what I do.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
showing a picture of a tarp setup, and it's a poor man's sawtooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and
But
that's similar
At some
to what
point,
yeah.
that's what I want to go to.
What we used to do in like an army poncho, we never wore it like a poncho with like the thing over your head, the hood. That we immediately tied the hood off, and it has the reinforced grommet rings at all 4 corners and in the middle. And so if you pre-tie like a like a 6-foot piece of paracord into each one of those grommets, it's really easy, especially if you're in like wooded area, to just find, you tie off the 4 corners, and then we would have one piece of like long, like 10-foot paracord tied around the hood, what was, sort of strangling it off, and you tie that up into a tree or into a bush or something to create sort of the peak of like your teepee. And you don't necessarily, like you're saying, you don't really need that ground cover. What you need is something that keeps the condensation off of you. So just having a tarp or a poncho or something to keep the condensation off of you while you sleep can make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And then, like Mike's saying, if you throw your space blanket over, that's a great tip. Throw a space blanket over the top of a tent.
Space
or
blanket weighs, what?
freaking nothing.
As much as a couple quarters.
Yeah.
And
you can get them really
what
cheap.
it can provide, whether you put it above you or below you,
Yeah.
it reflects all your heat.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
should be the number
You can
one
get
thing
some really
in your
cheap,
sleep
like
system.
you can get a space blanket for like $7, and
Yeah.
even if you wear a couple holes in it on a hunting trip,
Soul
like,
makes
it's just
makes a nice one. That
I
won't fucking
hate
rip
single
on ya.
use plastic type shit, but the reality is for $7, if it gets a couple holes in it, you just throw it away and get another one.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That Soul company, SOL, they make a nice like emergency blanket. That's they have one that's actually like a bivy.
Oh,
But
I
it's
actually have that. Yeah.
Yeah, do you? Okay, yeah.
It's like my emergency system.
yeah,
thingy
and
is-
that's a nice setup.
and
you
it's
know?
it's smaller than my fist.
Yeah.
It's half the size of my fist, and it's a full like sleeping bag that's reflective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
actually
awesome.
keep a bivy space blanket in my my get home pack that's in my truck. Like my everyday carry includes a space blanket bivy thing.
Just in case you get tired between Seattle and
I want to take a nap. You never know.
Have you because you said you got the sawtooth, and I'm interested in going that route, you know, when I finally get the money to do it. But have you gone and gotten a stove?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
so
that
was the
like?
other
That-
thing
that
that I was going to say.
sounds
Like
so
I said,
nice.
I like everything scalable. So this is like a 4-season setup for me. So my old tent, yes, I would set up with trekking poles. The sawtooth has a steel center pole. And it is a little heavy, but it's completely worth it because, I mean, they've tested it in insane conditions. And with that steel center pole, the tent will stay up. You know,
Yeah.
I just have to believe their marketing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I carry that fucker. I also have a liner, so there's a second layer of material, and that helps with the condensation, so
Yep.
it's not dripping down on you. And then finally, yeah, I've got their Kafaru box stove.
Was it all titanium?
It's all titanium,
Yeah.
and it all rolls up. It's in this little
Yep.
thing. Man, it changes everything because you've got a full-on wood fire inside your tent
Yeah.
At
And-
backpacking weight.
at backpacking weight. It weighs
Holy shit.
not a lot.
Dang.
I've got it out in the truck. I should set it up and show you guys. It's sweet. But that
Yeah,
changed
well,
everything for me. Yeah.
Well, once again, that just goes back to comfort.
Yeah.
Like you said, you said trying to bring your house with you. It's like, yeah, people don't survive where we try and go.
That's why I call it a beer shelf.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
trying to bring every amenity with you that helps you be better at the task you're trying to do. The more you don't have to think about hunger, comfort, warmth, that stuff, all your attention just gets put into hunting and whatever your objective is.
Yeah, warmth especially. When you start getting like that bone-chilling cold, like your attention span just drops, and all you can think about is how to get warm again.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Somewhere out there's some tough guy who's like, I don't give a shit. I sit out there and shiver. Like, no, motherfucker. I've been to the point where like my bones started to, like, it was 7 degrees, and I could feel my bones aching.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point, or even when it's like 17 degrees, like it was over in Chelan last fall, like your ability to concentrate is diminished.
Wim Hof is fun for 2 minutes in an ice bath, but you want to do that for 4 days, and it's not going to work.
Now, the stove does have some limitations, though, that you got to kind of be on top of.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like 2 times I had it go pretty sideways on me.
Oh shit.
One was like my first outing ever with it. And before I had a Kafaru stove, I bought a cheaper brand stove just to like see if I was actually going to be interested in this type of camping. So the first time I went out, and I think this was actually with my Kafaru, we went on the high buck hunt here in Western Washington, which is, in the Alpine, up high.
Were you out of like Stevens Pass?
Yeah, that
Or
kind of
Fish
area.
Lake?
Yeah,
Going
that-
out outside of there?
that kind of thing. But up in the Alpine, above the tamaracks.
Yeah.
And you get up there and you set your cool sawtooth up and you set all your shit up and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna high buck hunt for 3 days, and you realize, wait, there's nothing to burn
Yeah.
at all
Yeah.
for miles. Yeah. Because we're above timberline, and B, down in timberline is a rainforest. Yeah. So good luck. So it was
Yeah.
completely worthless. And we got soaked and we got frozen, and it was just a bad time. And it didn't even matter that we had a stove. And I almost left the thing there because I didn't want to carry it out because we were so miserable. And then the other time where we actually used the stove, I almost killed me and my buddy Tease. So this other stove I have, I don't even remember the brand. It's got a baffle system inside of it. So if you can imagine, the upper maybe quarter of the stove is not open to putting fuel into, because you put fuel in the bottom side, you burn it, the smoke travels to the back, up on top of the baffle, and then goes up the stovepipe. The idea is to keep the smoke in the cylinder longer to
Keep
provide
warming
more
it.
heat.
Yeah.
And I think it had to do with the type of wood I had. It must not have been kiln dried or something. A lot of sap in it. And we were bow hunting elk the day after Thanksgiving, so it was colder than hell. It was -5 during the day, so I can only imagine what it was at night. So we were trying to burn this thing all night long to keep us warm. And at one point, around 2 in the morning, the stovepipe got so plugged up with soot. When I finally took the thing apart and unrolled the stovepipe, it had what looked like a hockey puck that was 6 inches tall. Completely packed the thing shut. So 2 a.m., smoke is pouring into our tent.
Jesus.
And we just had no idea what to do. You know, we're cold. You don't want to go outside, but at least it's warm in here, but you can't breathe. So we're just laying there with our little faces poked out from underneath the tent to sip air so that our bodies could be in where the heat was. It was a nightmare. After that, I bought a Kafaru one, and I've never had that problem again. Okay. But you need to make sure that wherever you're going, there's
something to
good
burn.
wood, something to burn. Yeah.
All right.
And,
So
and you can run that even on burn bans, right?
who
I
the
would
fuck's in
check
it?
that with your local authorities.
Fish and wildlife.
Okay.
It
I
does have
wasn't
two.
You get far enough away from the road. I got a feeling most state employees aren't.
Yeah, but I
You're not
mean,
gonna walk
just
too
the
far.
you know.
You don't want to start a forest fire out of responsibility.
Yeah.
The Kafaru stove does have a spark arrestor and a redundant spark arrestor in it. And I've tried to take those cool night photos of you burning the stove and you're trying to take a photo from outside and the sparks are blowing out the top. And you can't really get it to do that without pulling out the spark arrestors. So that's good.
Good.
They clearly work
So it
quite
works.
well. But you do need to pull them out and clean them every once in a while. They get sooty.
Okay.
So you need to manage your stove if you're going to be using a stove. You can't just
Now
set it up
You
and
mean
burn
like
it.
okay? So like in the middle of the camp, you're pulling it out like those days. It's not like I'm just gonna get back and I gotta manage it when I get home.
Yeah,
Okay,
once
good.
a day, pull your spark arrestors out, clean them off, make sure your stovepipe's being good, make sure you're not getting weird hot spots, make sure you're
Fucking
cleaning
hockey
the
puck 6 inches thick.
yeah. And on that stove that got the hockey puck in it, I believe the stovepipe diameter was pretty small. It's like 2.5 inches, where the Kafaru is
that's
in the
small.
3.5, 4 inch neighborhood. I don't remember off the top of my head. The Kafaru one's been great. Like I've had no problems with it. Really.
Did it come with a patch or like a spot for this chimney pipe
For
to
the
come out
tent?
of? Yeah.
Yes. There's a spot cut into the tent where the stovepipe goes up, and it's got like a 12 by 12 fireproof little thing on it where the stove jack goes
I
out.
got you weren't cutting into your own shit trying to
No.
rig that up.
No.
All right. Well, I feel like we've covered shelter. Food. Mike, are you? I think you said before you're just straight up dehydrated meals.
Yeah, so the biggest thing I like is coffee. Gotta have coffee.
Gotta have coffee.
Coffee,
Oh, yeah.
hot chocolate, stuff like that. So I might even parlay this into food and water. So everyone's hunt's a little different. So when I pack this bag, I kind of think of what I do for backpacking for mule deer. And usually it's a 3 or 4 day hunt on the backpack. And I always try and make sure I go somewhere with a water source. So for me, the biggest thing is I have to have somewhere adequate that has a stream, that has a brook, that has running water, not static water supply, somewhere with water coming out of the ground. And so in my bag, I have like a 4-gallon bladder, right? And then that bladder will tie into, I forget what it's called, small micron.
4 gallon or 4 liter?
4-gallon.
Oh, geez.
Holy shit.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, exactly though. So do you want to go to your water source all the time?
Is that like that MSR?
Thinking of a drum light.
Yeah.
I have one of those. It's 2 liters though.
Yeah. Like I thought there was like those big bags set up for just getting a bunch of water.
Yeah.
That you can.
Oh, I see. It's like a big bag that you hang on a tree and then it
Yeah,
drains
so,
down through a filter.
Yes, so I get a huge 4-gallon bag, fill it all the way up with water. Then it screws in a filter to it, and then I normally take an Nalgene bottle and then a couple bladder type bottles. Not bottles, but little bags. And so I want to make sure I always have water on me, because so much time just sitting, glassing, you get bored, you want to go do something else, you want to go look somewhere, you want to drink something. So always have coffee, something hot to sip on. And then, I mean, if we're backpacking, it's Mountain House and snacks. And for me, snacks are...
Mountain House is dehydrated meals, right?
Yep.
For people listening who don't know what you're saying.
Yes, dehydrated meals. And there's other ones. There's, what is it, Plaid Pantry.
Heather's Choice.
Heather's
There's all
Choice.
Yeah,
kinds.
there's a bunch
Peak
of them.
Refuel.
Yeah,
like,
just
there's a whole bunch.
Top ramen.
And the best thing to do, yeah, exactly. The best thing to do is get a couple, find what you like, because there's only a few things that I like. I mean, I'm eating beef stroganoff, spaghetti. I mean, just the classics.
Yeah.
You get weird stuff where they're like, it's
Thai
fucking
chili.
Butternut
this,
squash
that.
del
it's
Mott,
fried rice from Wuhan,
which is
yeah.
what you can buy.
Out of where? Who
Peak
makes
Refuel.
that? Peak Refuel.
It's actually pretty good. But
Is Peak is Chad Mendez's one, right?
I think
the
so,
UFC
yeah.
guy. And
I
then
really
they,
like those.
They
They're very
even have
good.
the ones that auto heat, where you just
What?
add water,
Like
and
an-
then they start
It's got-
steaming
it's got
up.
a little
Yeah.
thing in
That,
it.
that's
Yeah.
borderline scary. Like, what fucking chemical is in there that causing that reaction?
like in the bag,
No,
or you mean like
no, you
a,
get cancer
like an
later,
MRE
not
where
on
you
the-
have the
No.
pouch of food and the heater and you put them together?
No,
What?
it's like a dehydrated meal that has a little bit of water in it already, so they are heavier. But then you add water
That's not
into
water.
the bag. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's nuclear fuel.
Yeah.
You add water into the bag, and some thermal reaction.
There's no fucking way I'm eating that.
Some
I'm
of them
kind of
are-
with you. That sounds dicey.
They're pretty good. Some of them.
He's like,
Yeah, I mean,
Tastes
I've
like
eaten
burning.
a few of them.
yeah.
But yeah, so mainly, like I said, like to go light. So water source, and then having what I need to coffee, even teas, hot chocolate. I mean, I just want to be comfortable. Dehydrated food, and then
You do a coffee and what's that, Swiss mix?
Swiss
Swiss
Miss.
Miss, man.
Yeah.
that's a mountain mocha.
Mountain
Yeah.
mocha.
Yeah, Mountain mocha
I
is what you
it.
do.
Yeah. You add a little whiskey in there, and that's a hell of a little bougie drink. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Yeah, and then
How are you eating that stuff up?
the Mountain House?
Yeah.
I just have a little burner.
Like a jet boil or something.
Yep,
Yeah, okay.
yep. Yeah, jet boil's too heavy. I have, so if I brought my burner out, I have one that has all the feet that forks out, and then it ties into my fuel canister.
okay.
Like, I don't like the kind of burners that it's the fuel canister and then you screw on the igniter, the flame part on top of it, because when you're out in the backcountry, you ever seen a flat table out there? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Everything's rocky. Everything's at an angle. So if I'm going to put a couple cups of water on something, most of the time it's kind of falling over, and most of those little ones don't put out the heat. Where we go deer hunting, I mean, we're at about 8,000 feet. And so the wind's always whipping. It's never a good area to just boil water. So I have a little bit bigger one that's its own tripod, and you can flame everything up. I don't want to wait 5 minutes for coffee. I want my instant coffee instantly.
gratification.
Yeah. And
I'm
so
all the way out here fucking.
exactly. So, yeah, mountain houses, drinks are important. And then, I mean, we all kind of seem to be into health and fitness, but when I'm out in the woods, man, it's fucking
That's
candy.
why we've got all these empty beer cans scattered around us right now.
Yeah. Well, that's health.
It's electrolytes.
Yeah, it's candy. It's fucking, I mean, I got my mountain mocha, and I'm dipping, moon pies in it. I want stuff just to munch on all the time. So I load up.
Well, when you're cold and walking, you're burning calories like fucking crazy.
Not even cold and walking. How about cold and sitting?
Yeah.
The amount of calories I think you burn
to
just
stay
sitting
warm.
there.
Just to stay warm.
Eating all that shit. I have never gone hunting and gained weight.
No.
And I gain weight at home trying to eat well. I'll do spinach salads and it's like, fuck, I gained 3 pounds. I'll eat a bunch of Little Debbies and it's like, I'm down 10, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want comfort stuff with me. So the more just quick food, drink, high caloric, high sugar, just keep me going, because that's what it is. It's 3 days of just pushing. It's 4 days of just pushing. And I don't care what I'm putting in me. I just care about how I'm performing on it.
Yeah.
So I usually like calorically dense stuff that hits my palate, stuff that's sugary, stuff that rushes me. And that's kind of just how I travel. Yeah, I mean, there's no diet when you're hunting.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
be lying
Jordan,
if I
what are you
said I didn't
packing?
have multiple candy bars in my pack at any given
Yeah.
time. Same thing, Mountain House. Mountain House or any. When I say that, I just, Mountain House is like Frisbee, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
freeze dried meals. I'll do that, and then the burner I use is that MSR Whisper or no, not. It's a stove, and it has a built-in water, canister on it, so you just pour it into that. I like those a lot. They're a little bit bulkier and heavier, but it just, to me, the ease of it makes sense. I've never actually had any issue with elevation with those. I've heard that some people, like it, whether it be too cold or the elevation's messed up, where some of those will get.
I've had the elevation just increase boiling time a little bit, but I've never had it make my stove not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've experienced that. I haven't really paid attention to the boiling time, but I've heard like some people, they'll have to switch to the actual old stove style with the separate canister you can put, whatever white fuel or whatever in, and they'll pump those and change the jets out to work for higher elevations.
Right.
But
to do one of those, you got to know what you're doing.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if you've never played with a stove or a jet, like if you're unclear on what a jet boil is, white gas is not for you.
Yeah.
You're going to blow yourself up.
Yeah, and they have I picked one of those up the other day. It was just such a good deal. I couldn't pass it. Shout out Coastal.
Yeah.
It was $30.
Coastal Farm and Ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they're normally like I think $100 and something, and it was like $30.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was like, sweet.
Dang.
But yeah, I mean, so as far as like heating food up and heating water up and coffee, I'm drinking coffee like nobody's business because of those, the Starbucks Vias or the Black Rifle, the Black Rifle ones. I'll get on those too. It doesn't really matter to me, but the Swiss mix thing is gonna change the game. I can't
Genius.
wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get on that.
I'm going to start doing that. I think it was Dark Timber Coffee. I can't remember if they're out of Washington or Northern Oregon. They used to make like a mountain mocha, and it was pretty much instant coffee with Swiss mix in it. But boy, did I love those, man. And I think they quit making them. So, yeah, I'm going to start doing what Mike's
Well,
doing.
it's also like when you're roughing it, I mean, you get an appreciation for everything. When you come down from like a 3-day or 4-day hunt and you take a warm shower, it's nice. It's more than nice. It's transformative. You have more of an appreciation for that amenity. So to be in the mix or in the woods or just somewhere where that stuff doesn't happen and you get coffee and chocolate together, I mean, it changes your whole view on the day.
Yeah. Oh, dude, in Ranger School, when we were starving, we would save our, like if you got cocoa powder in one MRE, you knew there was a good chance that you'd get coffee in the next one. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to save this so that when I get coffee in the next one tomorrow, I can mix it with some water and make like this little mocha paste, and then I'll eat like. And then you'd get home from Ranger School and be like, remember how good it was to mix the cocoa powder and the coffee together? And so you grab 2 MREs and mix it up, and you'd be like, oh, this tastes disgusting.
Yeah.
But when you're freezing cold and starving, it is so delicious. And I think that's part of what's being lost as humans become like lazier and more sedative. Is that the right sedative?
Sedated.
You know what I mean? Like everybody's constantly looking for more comfort, and really what you should be looking for is more discomfort, because then every little touch of comfort that comes your way when you're uncomfortable, you're so grateful for.
Oh, yeah.
Like a packet of Swiss Miss and a Via. Like there's people at home listening that'll be like, hang on, you're going to mix a Via coffee and a packet of Swiss Mix and you're happy about it? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, you don't get it. When you're out in the mountains and you're freezing your ass off and you haven't eaten in 12 hours and you mix that up with some hot water, you're like, this is...
Just having hot water.
This is living, baby. This is living.
You know,
Yeah.
it lifts your spirits.
Yes.
You know, it pushes you. You know, having just a little bit of a, ooh, this is warm. This is something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. So what are you carrying for food, Jake?
Pretty similar to everybody.
Is that dehydrated
I like
rations?
dehydrated foods.
Okay.
My dad really likes MREs,
Yeah.
mostly for like truck hunting and stuff because they're
My
kind of
dad
heavy
does,
to carry.
too.
But
They're a little bit heavier, right?
Yeah.
Like an
Because there's a
MRE
lot
weighs
in 'em.
about
They're
a
not-
pound
they're
and a
not
half or two.
dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not dehydrated. There's a lot more in it. There's a lot more calories to one. Like they'll really fill you up.
It's like fucking Christmas opening
It's,
those things up,
it's,
too.
it's 2,500. Yeah.
But I've been done dirty one too many times by goddamn MREs, and I'm done with it. Like, smart anecdote. I can remember one day me and my dad are sitting up on a stand elk hunting, and we're up real high, probably 11,000 feet, looking over a big gully, and snowstorm blows in. So it's kind of halfway to whiteout conditions, winds howling, just frigid in the middle of the afternoon. We're like, all right, let's make lunch. So we grab a couple of MREs because, hey, we can warm these up. It's going to be great. And I pop open my MRE. I'm freezing to death, and it's like
You get the 5 fingers of death.
Tuna
The fucking hot dogs.
and flatbread
Yeah.
and
I was like, what the
and like a pound cake.
Yeah.
Nothing warm at all. And I'm like, this is
Son
bullshit.
of a bitch.
And then I've had multiple of them.
Did you have the
to
actual
use.
official MREs, or was this some like knockoff?
No, they were official
Okay.
MREs through an unnamed source.
Okay, because the tuna casserole one was one of my favorites.
Yeah, is that
But-
the one that was
but
on
it-
the flatbread?
No,
Would
well,
it heat
it
up?
probably came with flatbread and peanut butter, but it was, you heated it up and it was in the package, and it was a legit tuna casserole inside the astronaut package that you would heat up. So it wasn't like just like tuna fish sandwich type spread where you put it cold onto a
Yeah.
piece of bread.
Mine was like that. Maybe this was a knockoff MRE.
It must have been,
Because
yeah.
we have a bit of a mixture up at our cabin of like the knockoff ones you buy on Amazon, and then some
Okay.
that have been, we joke about, we stole them from the SEALs. You know,
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah,
But
Do they sell legit ones on Amazon?
I think you can.
Yeah.
Get, legit MREs are available. I don't know if they're on Amazon,
Go
but
pick them up.
they're
Yeah,
like
you
Box
can-
A and box B.
Has
Yeah.
to be.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I've seen
yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah. But here's the problem though. You're gonna get the mummy dick and the 5 fingers of death, and there's, for every MRE that's actually kind of good, there's at least one that's pretty goddamn awful.
Here's something. Have you guys looked at MREs from other countries? I'm a dork. So like you'll get them, like if you look at them from like South Korea and stuff, they have MREs that are
Freeze-dried
yeah,
soy.
kimchi and like oysters that
Oh,
are
shit.
fermented and stuff.
Oh, it's like legit food.
it's pretty good, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So if you kind of go down that rabbit hole, you can go on eBay and stuff. But look up MREs from other countries, like Russia.
Yeah.
One of them comes with
It's a pierogi.
caviar.
Fucking
You know?
dumplings.
Yeah.
Black truffle.
Yeah. I'm
Black
roughing
truffle
it out
and
here.
Pickled herrings.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, I will do that though. I like that fishy pickled shit. Like,
Oh, you like the sardine can? The
Oh,
canned
I'll
sardines?
do
Yeah,
a can of
sardines.
sardines with.
And
like,
then, so
mustard.
if you pack a ramen with you, right?
never done
so
that. I don't
sardines
do,
and
fuck
ramen?
dude.
Oh,
I'm not down with ramen.
you're not
I'm not a ramen guy.
if you eat your sardines and then you pour that juice into whatever water you're boiling your ramen with, it's the best thing in the world.
I can imagine that'd be.
it's not bad.
It's like mountain pho.
Yeah.
The best meal I've ever eaten in my entire life, swear to God, was this year moose hunting in northern BC. And so you drive all the way up there to the end of the dirt road, get to the guide's cabin, and then you get on a float plane and you fly however many miles further north to a remote lake, get dumped off, and it's just you and a guide in the tent for 5 days. And after 5 days of rowing an inflatable dinghy around this lake looking for moose, and you're just exhausted, kind of like we've been talking about why Swiss mix and coffee could possibly be good. And you get back, and the dinner that the guide made was just moose meat on a stick over the fire and ramen noodles. Oh my God. It was the best thing
Sounds good
I've
here in
ever.
civilization. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd order that at a restaurant. It was so good. My God.
I'll tell you how. You guys are all young bucks compared to me. I'll tell you the one nice thing about being in your 40s is I don't eat that much anymore. So like one meal a day is perfectly fine for me. And that's not like me trying to like go on a fasting diet or trying to do something extreme. That's just all I need.
Yeah.
So I'll be a little bit bougie and I'll bring some granola bars and stuff to snack on, but then I'll also like pack some steaks. And I've got I've got like an MSR stove, and I'll bring some eggs too. I'll be doing steak and eggs because I only need to eat once a day. A little bit of snacking here and there. Constantly, like I'm always boiling. Like Jordan
We're not going backcountry. This is back.
Yeah,
in the
that's
truck.
true. Yeah.
Right. This is
no. But if I'm loading my pack for 3 days, I'll throw 3 steaks in there, and I've got a little this little hard plastic thing that holds 6 eggs. So there's 2 eggs a day, and
I tracked down grouse, and I robbed their nests.
that's
Oh,
a
I
great
got a
idea.
good
That's a
little
great
pro
idea. Yeah.
As made famous, for anybody who doesn't know, because they're pretty famous at this point, but as made famous on Rockslide, the hunting forum, butthole sandwiches.
Yeah.
You guys heard of this?
Oh yeah,
Just
peanut
take
butter.
everything bagel, cut it in half, slather both halves with peanut butter, cook up a bunch of bacon, put a bunch of bacon on both halves, drizzle it in honey, smush them together, run that thing through your vacuum sealer.
Yeah.
And it gets all
Killer.
compressed and sucks the air out of the bagel, so it's like chewy and candy bar-y.
Yeah.
And super high calorie and pretty lightweight. Oh,
Fucking
man,
A.
those
Aaron
are
Snyder's
good.
special.
All right, done deal. Yeah, all right, done deal.
I got like 5 of them in my freezer right now.
Do you
They're my
really?
favorite.
Nice.
I always
All
bring
right.
those.
I got one in my pocket.
Yeah, no, Tobin pulled out all the stops when we went. And
But like Jordan said, we weren't backcountry hunting. We were swinging back by the truck every day at noon.
Yeah, but even if you're backcountry hunting, I mean, if you can bring a steak for that first night, say you make that huge trek, it's just nice to have a little extra.
I would
in ya.
absolutely throw 3 steaks in my backpack if I'm going for 3 nights.
the best meal I've had on a hunting trip, I got back. I was on an elk trip, and we'd been busting ass all day, and my hunting partner ended up taking off, and he wanted to go hunt somewhere else, and that's a whole different story there.
Sure.
He ended up taking off, and I ran into these other guys, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you come down to our camp?" You know, and up to that point, I had thought, like, you know, if you were hunting and just doing any kind of hunting, the more you rough it, the more you're hunting. And I had this twisted idea of, like, you can't be comfortable at all, because if you're comfortable at all, you're not really hunting, and da-da-da-da. And I ran into these guys, and they were like, well, what? And they kill way more shit than I kill. So it's like, okay, obviously these guys have got it down. I come back to their camp, and they had, because the way they would set up is like every morning they'd go up, get to a gate where you can't drive, and they'd go off and they'd hunt. And then towards the end of the day, dark comes, they'd get out and do it again the next day, kind of thing. But they had trailers and this and that, and one of the guys cooked up grouse that they had been getting all day.
The best.
And, oh, fuck, he just put a little bit of seasoning on it. It was like some sort of a lime or lemon kind of seasoning with that. And just, he had a plate full, because everybody had grouse, right? And he just took them and started making them up, and oh my God, it was phenomenal. But then they had elk burgers and all this other shit, and he was like, you got to remember, this is vacation.
Yeah.
You're taking 2 weeks off to go hunt. That's great, but we got to have fun when we're out here. If you're not, you know, so they made that, you know, part of their trip was being somewhat comfortable back at camp.
Totally.
And, you know, if you're not way back there with a sawtooth trying to make it happen, and you don't have that ability, or, you know, don't want to do that, you know, there's your option.
You know what's interesting is, like, You say like you think about hunting and you're like Cameron Haynes or David Goggins, like, I got to be hard, stay hard. If you want to hunt, you need to be the toughest motherfucker. And I mean, in certain ways, it is true, but a lot of people I know that are very successful in hunting aren't the hardest people. I feel like it's more of that, was it work smart, not hard?
Yeah,
kind of
man.
thing.
Totally.
You know, like, it's people that over the years they've mapped out how to be comfortable and how to be efficient. And it's not necessarily hitting the grindstone 24/7, which, I mean, if you're in a new area or something, yeah, you really need to figure out where you are and scout it and see how animals are working. But it's a lot of people that have done it over the years and they've honed it. It's not like, oh, on my 20th year, I have to work as hard as my first year. It's people that have done it over the time and they've kind of gotten a rhythm. Like you said, you went to a camp and people are like, dude, elk steak, grouse smorgasbord.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
You know? But
yeah,
they're
beautiful.
successful hunters.
Yeah.
They're not out there with a fucking a little jet boil stove in their mountain house.
They brought firewood to burn just to have a fire.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
These guys were about it, dude.
Yeah.
Some people say the whole, hungry hunters hunt harder. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't buy that at all. I can't tell you how many times I've watched like hardcore, tough dudes who are just pounding the mountains hike straight the fuck past elk
Yeah.
and have no idea that they were even there.
Yeah.
Because they're just going hard for the sake of going hard. So if I had any advice for like new hunters, it would be stay still. Like,
Let the woods move around you.
yeah. So my dad, again, he's my main hunting partner. I don't know anybody who's killed more elk than him. His metric is actually, he's legitimately never gone 2 years in a row without killing
Holy
a
shit.
bull.
Wow.
And his main thing is he's a stand hunter. So we get up to the stand before the sun even comes up. We sit still. We watch this whatever goalie we picked for that morning, and we don't move until 10 in the morning or so. And it works. And as we're sitting there, trucks are driving by. They stop at the top. They glass in. They keep going. Dude's hiking up the thing. He's just hiking the ridge, and then he's out of the valley and into the next one. Everybody's just glancing in to see if there's a herd there right now, and if there's not, keep going, cover ground. I can't tell you how many times we've been sitting there, and then you hear a truck come, and you go, oh, God damn it, there's a truck. And the truck comes up, stops right behind you, glasses over your head for 5 minutes, keeps driving, and then 30 minutes later, a whole herd comes walking into that basin.
Well, that's
Stay
a great
still.
point because they move faster than you do. So if you're trying to cover, you're better off sitting there waiting for them to cover ground
Yeah.
than trying to cover the ground yourself.
And a lot of the time, bulls will come in quiet. So if you're sitting there calling, you're not getting answers, there might be something coming in on a string and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And if you're just trying to cover ground, you'll never see them. But there's been a lot of times where I've been sitting there and then all of a sudden you turn around and there's a bull standing 10 feet behind you looking down at you going, what is that thing making the same noise I do?
That'd be so intimidating.
It's the coolest feeling in the woods,
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah.
Having a bull walk up or just scream.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Shit.
But yeah, so being tough, yes, it's very important. Being in shape, yes, very important. But it's not everything. It's not the only thing. Like, patience is more important than how many push-ups you can do,
Yeah.
Here's something I want to run by you.
Okay.
So I always feel like when we have a hunting trip, everyone's so excited to go, right? And you go there, and the first night, you get a big fire, you get a big bunch of food. You have that first initiation. Then, like, everyone goes and does their own thing the first day of hunting. Oh, I'm going to go by this water source. Oh, I'm going to go up by this meadow. Everyone does their own thing. But I feel like no one's in kind of the same harmony. Like, I feel like it truly takes 3 or 4 days to kind of feel the pace of the woods. Like, you have to wait for everything to slow down. You might be gung-ho to be out there, but once you're out there for long enough, you start to really pick up and just move at the pace of the woods. And I feel it's hard being successful in the very beginning, whereas after your first couple days, you're like, oh, I heard something over there, and then I heard something over here. But by day 5, day 6, you're like, there's a chipmunk 20 yards to the left. There's a bird nesting right over there. Like, I feel like your senses really become in tune. And that's something I really enjoy about hunting is you really start to just move at the speed of the woods.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's one of the things I love about hunting. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think you go out and you're moving at city life.
Yeah.
Pace. Move, go, Instagram layout. Then when you're in the woods, you slowly switch, the RPMs come down, and you're going at the pace of the mountains.
Yeah.
And you slow down, and you're way more aware of everything.
Yeah.
You're more immersed in it, and you're not worrying about your phone. And
Yeah. Or if you spend a long time out there and then you drive home. Have you ever been like...
It's such a bummer.
Yeah, but it's also like you're going 35 miles per hour and you spent the past week walking and you're like, we're out of control. We're going to die of a high-speed wreck. But you get adjusted to that speed of the woods. And it's like...
Bro, we call it in a tactical patrol, like in a military patrol, they call it SEALs. Stop, look, listen, smell. And every couple minutes, like as soon as you hit the wood, like as soon as you're inserted, whether it's by vehicle or aircraft or however you get there, every couple of minutes you stop, look, listen, smell. And the idea is to get the feel of the environment around you and to start melding into that environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time to get there too.
Yeah.
When you get there, I stepped away to go to the bathroom. I don't know if that's what you just said.
Yeah. No, you got it. You're
Jordan,
picking up.
we were talking about Mike's first experience with another man.
Yeah.
So you
like
stop,
I said, it's
stop,
nice.
smell.
Stop, look, listen, and smell.
Yeah. And it takes a little bit of time to get there. Yeah, exactly. Again, Jake's just like, you fucking sick bastards.
So, Jake, you want to go backcountry hunting with us?
Show
do we
us
have
the
to
way.
do we have to spoon underwearless?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
You know, talking about that stuff, it always makes me wonder, like, you listen to trappers and, like, people that settled America. I mean, you had the French and stuff, but then you had people on, like, trapping, like, commitments, like, jobs. I'm a fur trapper in the Great Lakes and stuff like that. And to have, okay, it's fun for us to go out there for a week, right? And then you're like, oh man, I feel so tuned in with the woods. My skills are out of control right now. I hear a chipmunk from a mile away. But what do you think that does when you're out there for a month? When you're out there for 2
years.
months?
Well, like,
I
yeah.
fantasize like these. Imagine like these early American fur trappers who were like they spent their life out in the woods. Like, imagine like your clothing is made out of deer skin, like your moccasins, your leggings, your shirt is deer skin, and you're just so in tune with the woods that you just move through it like a ghost.
Yeah.
Like that. I wish I could.
You think
that.
that those guys?
Yeah.
You think that those guys had a fucking a house and a fucking PlayStation?
No, they probably. Yeah.
Oh, they'd be done.
The type of guy that you're talking about, you hear about him around town, right? Mm-hmm. The crazy old guy who lives in the woods.
Oh,
and they're
exist.
always crazy. They're always weird.
I
They're
don't think they're
always
that
a little
crazy. Yeah.
awkward. You know, they're not good social skills. Well, maybe they're not crazy and weird. They're moving at the tune of.
They live in
the
a
tempo
different
of the woods.
reality than
Yeah.
you do. Yeah.
And then they come into the civilized world, and everything's going
It
a
weirds
zillion
them out,
miles an hour,
yeah.
and it doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
100%.
Yeah. Have you ever been to New York?
No, I have no desire to go to New York.
Yeah. Same.
Cities stress me out.
It's a fun. I love a lot of my family's from the East Coast, but like it is just a different pace. It's a different vibration. Everything's happening so much quicker. And it makes you wonder, like, I mean, come on. we're all hairless apes. You know, we kind of did come from the woods.
Jordan's not.
I was just gonna say,
Full hair.
His beard connects to his back. But like you have that ability to do both, to go from ultra high pace. I have a job. I'm running a business. I need to communicate with this person. I need to get materials ordered. I need to contract that job out and plan for this and that. But then you also have the ability to decompress in a way that is very profound. Like you have an ability to cue into something that's not normally obtained in like a nuclear homogenized society.
I think there's something to like looking, like just your visual ability to look a far distance that you don't get in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we typically spend our time in rooms inside houses. Yeah. And I mean, we're sitting in a mat room right now at our Electric North Jiu-Jitsu gym, and we have, 25 foot to the far wall, and this is a big room.
Yeah.
But most of the time, people spend their days in rooms that are, 10 to 12 foot wide, and so I think when you're able to look out and just see a long ways, that does something to you.
Yeah, dude. So I've had like some success at work and been promoted to where it's actually like chained me to a desk, and I spend my day at like this little desktop thing with computer screens, and I hate it. And it's right now it's worth it because we're a family of 4 on a single income, so it's totally worth the pay bump for me. But I can't wait to get to this. Like I keep thinking like, all right, when the kids get a little older, maybe Jen will go back to work, or somehow we'll do something where I can afford to. I shouldn't say afford to, because we haven't had lifestyle creep where we spend more money just because we make more. We have the same lifestyle, but it's nice to have that extra income that we're putting away or whatever. But I can't wait to like just jettison it and go back to the field where I just work with tools and move around, because that sedentary 8 hours of sitting in a chair looking at a computer screen, it's fucking awful. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there's something that's unnatural about it.
No, it's
just
all the things.
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
things are
think
unnatural
about all the. It costs more money to have a house with a view.
Yeah.
People go on hikes. Why? Because they want to get to the top of a mountain and look far.
Yeah, you're right.
Like there's something to being able to visually see a distance. I think it's calming for people. Or there's just something about it that it does a lot for somebody. Just so.
And my wife is like, she's a mountaineer, and she has all these amazing pictures from like the peaks of the Cascades where you can just see, and like it's like, oh my God, let me look at your photos, because her photos are amazing where you can see across the top of the mountains for like miles and miles and miles. And people, you're right.
And everybody's always like, but those pictures never do it justice.
Exactly.
Right? Why? Exactly. Because you're looking at a photo.
It touches
3
you
foot away.
It touches you spiritually.
There's something about it. There's something that it just kind of put people always feel that when they're hiking up on a mountain or looking at the ocean, or there's something to that. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something to it, and I think there's something when you go out in the woods.
We're wild beings. We're wild creatures that are meant to be out in the wild.
Yeah, we need to see more than 15 foot away from us, and there are people that just live their whole life in cities where you can't see, but
Another episode, we're gonna have to go sit down by the river with a generator and eat some mushrooms and just get fucking earthed
get into it.
I've never done drugs, so you guys are on your own. I think that's interesting though, like you guys are saying, I do think visuals are one part of it. Like I kind of wonder if like cavemen were ever like, was it farsighted where you can't see up close?
Oh yeah.
You know?
I don't even think cavemen's a thing. Think about this, bro. Like we're supposed to believe that for 400, like think about every man you know. Every man I know, or good man I know, is trying to improve his situation in life. So we're supposed to believe that for like a couple 100,000 years, humans just like squatted in caves and we're like,
they have the same.
All right, we'll do this tomorrow again. Sound good? Like, no, fuck no. There is no chance in hell that people spent millennia just doing nothing, like subsisting, because that's not how humans roll.
You mean on a linear trajectory that they sat in those caves for a couple hundred years?
And then if we're to believe like the movie trope of the caveman, where he's like this bumbling idiot, like think of what it would take to survive in that. You'd have to be a super athlete and a super genius all in one. Yeah. So you wouldn't be a bumbling idiot. Mm-hmm. You'd be a super athlete who's keen as fuck in your mind, which leads to
they knew what was
invention and
tools and
innovation.
Well, it leads to tools and innovation once you suddenly do not have to spend every waking hour of your day focusing purely on how am I going to get food now.
I think modern humans with our brain go in like 2 generations to an abundance. Like, look at what Tyler's doing with his farm out there. In 1 year, he has more stuff growing than he knows what to do with.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah.
So I reject the whole caveman idea that
but that's not trial and error. Like, he has books and resources
that's true.
to look at it upon.
Right. You're right.
Yeah, so, like if you're thinking true cave, but this is where it goes to
in
your
1 year. So maybe think that's why I say like a generation or 2 of trial and error, and then and I'm getting way into the weeds here, but if you guys want to really, like, for you guys listening at home, like, check out Randall Carlson's podcasts on Joe Rogan, him and Graham Hancock, and some of the like, we're getting way off topic here, so I'll probably shut up. But
no,
maybe we'll save this for another time. But all right, hang on. Let's bring it back in. Let's bring it back in, Mike. So we covered shelter and
You
food.
just got me all excited.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Wait.
But I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, shit, I got to make it to a kid's soccer game. This could be a whole nother episode.
We did shelter. We did food.
We did shelter and food. What are you guys doing for water? Because you mentioned, Mike, where you plan your hikes or your hunts around a water source.
Yeah.
So where Jordan and I went high mountains above Chelan last year, there's no water source. So we were doing it in a way that we swung. We came back to the truck every day at like midday, and we had a couple gallons of water there. But what are you guys doing if you don't, like, let's say you're in high country and you're not going to be swinging, but you got to go 3 days in the high country. Are you packing all your water?
Can
are
I
you bringing a filter?
Can I jump in real quick to
totally.
let you guys go? I will say this. I mean, you got grazing animals. They're eating vegetation that's got water and stuff in it. But for the most part, if you're in an area that doesn't have water, you're not going to see a lot of animals. Yeah. What you're going to want is to find where the water sources are.
Because it's there somewhere.
Yeah. So they have to hydrate. So for me, that's why I always plan my hunts around areas that have water sources. Mm-hmm. So for me, I don't carry about packing. I'll bring what I think I'll need to get to where I want to go, but then I can fill up after that. So that's my whole idea. On to you guys.
No, I agree. I think that's kind of a smart choice. I don't think it's dumb to have water at the truck or wherever. I mean, you're going to need it at some point. So there's never been a time I've been like, oh, let's go without picking up a gallon of water or something like that just to have. Whether that means I'm going on a hike for the day or going hunting or whatever I'm doing in the woods. It's like, hey, if I'm going to have water here, I want fucking water. Yeah. And I don't necessarily want to have to find a creek. I mean, we're in Western Washington or like, the Northwest in general.
There's water
everywhere. Yeah. So we really don't think about it too much.
Although if you go east of the mountains, it's a high desert.
Right.
So there's actually water over by Chelan and Wenatchee and Winthrop.
Yeah, I mean, we're 4 miles away from a fucking river, the Columbia River.
Yeah, there's still water.
There's water around, but like to what you're saying, like if we're gonna stay up all day,
up in the high country,
then you're gonna need to pack in some water.
And at that, when it's cold, higher elevations, you are gonna dehydrate quicker.
Yeah.
So do you guys pack electrolytes with you when you go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I've got them jammed in a bunch of different random spots too for like little emergency backups, and then I've got like a measured out amount in my food bag.
Okay.
That like I'm planning to use, but then I've got.
How many times have you been into a different part of your pack and be like, oh shit, like there's one of those.
Hell
yeah, like, oh dude,
This morning
I found my weed.
I don't know. I was looking for my notebook before we walked up here because, anyway, And I'm digging through there, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot that I had like a, I don't know, salted nut log or something jammed in a pocket. I'm like, oh great.
A payday. Hell yeah.
And 2 of those, liquid IVs jammed in every single pocket probably.
Liquid IV is
I like the
that
elements.
changes the world.
I like
yeah,
the element,
element.
too.
And not just because Greg has his
That watermelon
Connection
water or
with
whatever
them.
the hell.
yeah,
Ooh,
but
watermelon
because they
salt.
put magnesium in it. Like
Golly.
most electrolytes don't put calcium and it's a lot of sodium, and you don't get a lot of magnesium and calcium in them. But I feel like Element, you get I don't feel like you do. You get calcium and magnesium, and so you get a shitload of sodium, and which almost
And there's no sugar.
yes,
So
that's
they're good
another
for
big
drinking
one.
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, but sugar's good. When you're on that, man.
Sugar, good.
Dude, Greg gave me one of those elements, and it was lime flavored. And I swear to God, it was when you order a margarita, that salt around the rim.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was drinking.
Don't order the chocolate flavor.
Good God.
I call it
jalapeno
chocolate
one?
ass. It's chocolate ass flavor.
Or the mango habanero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
no,
that.
The least
it's just
satisfying thing ever designed.
stick with the citrus fruit, like lemon, lime,
Yeah.
or orange.
The
or
watermelons.
Watermelons,
Yeah.
dynamite. Yep.
Yeah.
Grape drink's pretty good.
Grape drink.
Grape drink.
Grape drink. You take grape drink when you're hunting.
Yeah.
It's a lean. He's getting high out there.
So I usually tailor my water to, wherever you're going, obviously, right? So if you're doing like somewhere where like you were describing, you're going up real high in the desert and there's nothing there, maybe an option is as you're scouting the area pre-season, carry a liter of water in with you and hide it under a rock. Do that 3 or 4 times. Now you got, 3 days worth of water stashed up there. That's a really good option. There's usually little potholes or something that you can, maybe it's even muddy or something, so you can life straw some water out of that. There's ways to kind of find and scrounge. But if I think I have to carry a bunch of stuff in, I'll usually try to carry it in on scouting trips so that I don't have to do it all in one crack.
Smart.
I'll stash 4 liters of water under a tree somewhere and mark it on my Onyx map.
What Jake said is actually something we do is if you can have a cachet,
Yeah.
if you go to the same spot year in, year out, it's like, okay, 5 years, you take a bunch of freeze-dried things or tarps or extra
Yeah.
things, and you hide them. Last year,
Well,
I guess
okay,
we had a
one
bear
thing, though.
get into ours.
I was
and
just
it
gonna
got
say.
torn up. Yeah, it happens, but I mean that's 1 out of 5 years.
That's a good
So
point.
I imagine you guys back there like the scene in Heavyweights where they're stashing candy in the log and shit. I see you guys back there.
Mike's on a scouting trip with a backpack full of Skittles, just kind of like throwing them out everywhere.
So one thing that never leaves my bag is my Steri pen. I love my Steri pen.
Yeah.
And it's an electronic ultraviolet light wand, basically. So you fill your just regular old Nalgene bottle up with creek water, river water, whatever. You want it to be fairly cleanish, in my opinion. You don't want sediment in it. And you turn on this thing, you put it in the water, you wave it around for a couple of minutes, and then it beeps when it's done, and it has not purified, but like sterilized the water.
It killed all
the
the
UV
bacteria.
kills all the
it
bacteria.
so it's good for like Giardia.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten Giardia? I've gotten it
No,
once.
I've been super careful.
What?
So I like that. That's what I use 90% of the time.
What kind
like
of battery does it run on?
Double A.
The SteriPen Classic takes AAAs, but I've got a SteriPen Ultra now that's just rechargeable.
Oh,
And
Ooh,
what
nice.
also lives in
So-
my kit is a big battery pack that I use to charge my headlamp and my flashlight, my SteriPen,
Yeah,
my GPS, my phone.
yeah.
Ooh,
As an
everything's
old school
rechargeable.
infantryman, I hate electronics. I hate anything that I have to trust that is electric. So I carry a paper map, a analog compass.
Trust a
and,
paycheck to that electric shit, huh?
Trust what?
A paycheck to that electric.
I don't want to. I'm being forced to.
What's the
an
thing about-
electrician over here.
What did old sailors used to carry? Is it called an azimuth? That thing they'd look at the stars and
Oh,
stuff. with?
it was a compass, or not a compass, but a protractor.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they'd use a protractor and a map and a compass.
I feel like that's where you are. I mean, being a 21st, 22nd century hunter,
Yeah.
I mean, Onyx has changed the game, man.
But what if your phone
has.
battery dies?
How do you feel about that? You feel like there's spots that are getting fucking picked over by people who don't deserve to be there because they're looking at a fucking...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not like the playing field isn't level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
But
like I'm torn. Like on one hand, it's like
It's level,
That-
but it wasn't level before.
right.
It was level to the people who put in the work, and now there's a group of people who just anybody can just download.
Yeah, but
an app.
you hit it with put in the work. Yeah, you can look up a spot on your phone.
There's
You're
a-
like,
there's a
oh,
hell
this
of a
is
different-
awesome.
there's a hell
but
of a
going
difference,
there
though.
is
Yeah.
a different situation.
Yeah.
But
so
I mean,
there's
you-
a lot of times, where it's like, that guy wouldn't have found my spot if it weren't for damn Onyx maps.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have known about my other spot without Onyx maps. It's a field that I have driven past for 20 years and didn't even know existed until I looked on the thing and went, oh, wait, there's a field over there? There's a clearing behind those trees? I had no idea,
Yeah.
Then you go back there and it's now your favorite blacktail spot or whatever.
Also, how many people look at Onyx and just look at satellite? They don't look at topography.
Right.
You know,
And the
Fucking
other
you
idiots.
start, you start heading out there. You're like, what the fuck is this? I thought it was a small tree line.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you're going up 1,000
Oh,
foot
man.
vertical.
Yeah.
I think the amount of times I've had Onyx and Google Earth set up at the same time,
Running?
and
Yeah.
fucking looking like dit. Yeah.
So, I mean, it can give you a false sense of confidence. There's been a time or two where I've been out by like Winthrop or so, which is kind of where the Pacific Crest Trail ends.
That's my
And
territory,
it's
buddy.
it's a good mule deer spot.
Yep.
And there's been a couple of times I've been up there, and there's been guys who are just purely relying on Onyx, and their phone dies, and they panic. And it's like, dude, just go back down the trail.
Leave.
Yeah, like you can just keep going back that way. You're not lost.
Yeah.
Don't-
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're okay. So don't let it get you in over your waders.
Yeah.
Oh, good quick segue. Have you ever been lost in the woods?
I have. So I got lost when I was like 13 years old hunting with my dad.
Yeah.
And he put me up above this draw. He said, okay, I'm going to walk up to the top of this draw, and then I'm going to walk down it and push the deer. So if you see it, he's giving me like careful instructions. Like obviously he's wearing an orange vest. He's like, don't shoot me, but I'm going to push these deer down in front of you. And so I sat there for hours, and I could see other hunters like across the draw looking down in, and like I'm looking up toward the top, and I couldn't find him. And after like 3-4 hours, I started getting like kind of panicked. So I'm just out there by myself at 13 years old. And I turned around and I could see down into the Okanagan Valley, this little town of Malott, it's called. I was like, you know what? It's going to be dark soon. I better start walking. So I just picked up, started walking down the hill toward into the Okanagan Valley. And I made it all the way down the mountain. And actually, I was trying to find the truck. But somewhere along the way, I think we had taken a dog leg as we hiked in, and I just went straight and went right past the truck.
Yeah.
And ended up down. So I just kept going down into the valley, and I ended up walking into everything's apple orchards over there. So I walked into this apple orchard, and I walked down some road, and I eventually found an office to like an apple growing place. And I guess fortunately somebody was in there on a Saturday, and I was like, shit, I've got like this. It's not like a scary rifle. It's a hunting rifle over my shoulder, and I'm wearing my orange vest and everything. But I was like, crap, I don't want to walk in there with a gun, So I like laid my gun down in the grass, walked in, was like, hey, I got lost hunting with my dad, and it's a couple hours ago. I walked down here, and so they ended up calling the county sheriff, who came and picked me up, drove me home. And then they sent another sheriff's deputy up to where the car was parked. But
boy.
now my dad's looking for me, and he's not coming back to the truck until he finds me. So the sheriff isn't going to go hiking around the mountain. So they just like wrote a note and put it on the windshield wiper of the truck and left.
Yeah.
And so my dad hiked around until like, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, until he was like, shit, I got to go to the truck and get some water and something to eat. He's out looking for me and finds this note, and I'm at home.
Jesus.
Getting lost or have someone getting lost. I've been a couple hunting trips where someone, and it was just miscommunication. It was someone saying they were going to go with another person, but you're hunting, so you don't want to be like, hey, I'm going hunting with this guy. You know, it's hand signals and all that stuff. And it turned into situations where people were gone for 8 hours and stuff like that. But search and rescue gets called.
Oh, shit.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's weird, man. And then getting lost yourself, like, it's terrifying.
That's why
if you haven't been
if
lost
you
in the
don't
woods,
if you don't know how to read a paper map and a compass, and I get it if you want to use OnX and Google Earth and all that shit, but you should have that analog capability somewhere in a pocket or in your backpack, and you better know how to use it.
Yeah.
Because you should not, if you're going into the woods trusting electronics, you're fucking up.
yeah.
And you'll hear it even when I talk about like training Northwest and firearms and tactical gear. I don't trust I'll use electronics, but if anything electronic, I have a backup for. I have an analog backup for, like my red dot sight. I have flip up iron sights that are a backup to that electronic red dot sight because I will not trust anything electronic in the bush.
Yeah. Or even in the woods, knowing where the sun rises and where you are in comparison and where it's setting. I mean, just taking basic points.
Yeah.
And moving off of that. It's important.
All right, guys, we're go ahead.
No?
I was say we're pushing the 2-hour mark here.
Are we?
We covered food, water, shelter, backpacks. I think we should probably wrap it up here. Save more content for later. And Jake, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for
awesome.
having me.
Anytime we're talking hunting, we'll be sure to make sure Jake's involved.
I'd love to.
Or
Come back,
yeah,
tell
or-
some
or
hunting stories.
Maybe
do a video, take these backpacks apart, talk about what's in them.
I think we should. I think the next follow-on thing we should do is have Will come out and we'll do a backpack strip-down video, everything we just talked about.
What I think would be good for another episode, I'd be interested in how do you guys define backcountry? What makes the backcountry?
I get out of the car.
Yeah.
I say it's the part of Jordan's underwear where it goes into his ass. It's like a T-bar at the top, and then the back country is where like there's a lot of hair.
Yeah,
and then
notice how it's foreign to him because he doesn't wear any.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen a whale tail in the backcountry?
Yeah. The backcountry. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a funny.
It looks
it's
like
a funny
a T
thing.
above all the hair, and then it just disappears into hair.
Yeah,
And it's like
Is that the side you like to spoon on?
that is the back country.
yeah. Can't see the forest of the trees.
And you need a compass in there.
Is that the side that you like to spoon on?
No,
Yes.
fuzzy side.
he's small spoon
I'm the
for
small
sure.
spoon. Fuck.
Next episode, let me tell you how a chin strap keeps you warm.
Holy shit! All right, I'm gonna end it on that note. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me, guys.